Hi friend, it's story time again. Tonight, we're raiding soft sheets for rough rope, swapping warm lamplight for the sea's cold grin. Tonight, you're not at home. Tonight, you're strays old ragged onto a 17th-century pirate ship somewhere off the Spanish Main. If you're ready to unwind, maybe press like or subscribe only if it feels gentle and right for you. And I'd love to know where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it there? Now, let the room grow quiet. Let your breath slow. Let the story begin. The first thing that slams into you is the smell. You'll swear it's alive. Tar and brine and sweat and fish gets older than your grandfather's ghost. The deck beneath your bare feet is slick with seawater and spit. Ropes snake across the planks like restless veins. Above your head, sails flap and creak, and every gust snaps them like a slap you can't duck. You'd like to think you chose this. Maybe you did, a lifetime ago, on a warm night in some coastal tavern with too much cheap rum under promise of gold that glittered brighter than sense. Or maybe you were clubbed behind the ear and an alien woke up here. Wrists raw from rope, new scars already scribbled across your ribs. It doesn't matter now. The ship wants what it wants. Your spine, your sweat, your silence. For the next stretch of rolling sea, just another set of hands to knot rigging and haul lines until they blister. Move. A shout cracks through the salt haze. You flinch, because your softer than the deck, softer than the boots stomping past your shoulder. The quartermaster is the size of a small storm cloud stuffed into a threadbare coat. He points at the tangled coil by your knee and barks. That line fouls the sheets, you clean it or you swim. You don't want to swim, so you fumble with the hemp rope. It's wet, rough, stiff from old salt. Your palms scrape raw before you've even twisted half the snarl. The ship rolls beneath you like it wants to see if you'll slip a test. You pass only by grabbing the railing with fingers that sting like open wounds. When you look up, the sky above is a hard blue split by gulls in the slap of torn canvas. Someone's yelling about a reef to the west. Someone else is swearing the wind will shift by dusk. You can't tell the difference yet to you. The wind is just one more invisible boot in your ribs. Around you, the crew stomps and swings with a rhythm that doesn't include you yet. Their shirts are sun-bleached trags. They laugh without smiling. You notice gold teeth, green tattoos, the glint of stolen rings. You also notice the knives strapped to bare calves and the way nobody turns their back for long. A boy your age, maybe younger, crawls along the rigging like a monkey, dangling by one arm while tying a knot you need to oars and 3 diagrams to master. He glances down at you, grins wide enough to show a gap where a tooth used to be, then swings back up to vanish into the sails. Good for him. Better him than you. The captain, if you can call him that, appears for the first time just after mid-morning tall hat. Battered coat with brass buttons that gleam to fancy for these planks. His boots never touch the wettest spots. He watches the horizon, says nothing. But every eye flicks his way. No one crosses him. Not the quartermaster. Not Cutter. The deck bully with a scarred lip and a habit of hawking spit where your foot's about to land. Not even the old gunner, who smells like powder and stale beer. A shout. Hoist the top SL. Snaps your head up. Ropes hit your shoulder. You grab, you pull. You don't know it's what yet, but your muscles know this. If you drop the line, someone else hauls double. And they'll remember your name when the knives come out later. Your shoulders burn. Your wrists bite against the hemp. Salt sprays your mouth at same brine that rots your teeth if you live long enough. Eagle lands on the mainmast crossbeam, cocking its head like it's taking bets on how fast you'll snap. You keep pulling. Below deck, you steal 5 heartbeats of shade. The hold smells worse than the deck is to of mildew, wet gunpowder, fish barrels gone sour. Barrels roll and knock with the ship's sway. Rats blink at you from dark corners, too bold to scurry off. Someone hands you a tin mug. Water, tepid and tasting faintly of rust and salt. You drink it because it's better than not drinking it. The boy who gave it to you just shrugs. Drink up. We sailed right a day's more before Port Royal. Maybe, if the wind's sweet. His grin says the wind never is. You'd kill for sleep. That sleep's a joke right now. The sea slaps the hull like it's mocking you every few minutes. Above you, the guns rumble in their beds. You learn quick not to lie where the bilge leaks. You learn quicker that snoring too loud earns you an elbow. Out here, men sleep with one eye open and their boots half minus laced. By midday the sun owns your back. You're pulling rope again, lifting barrels again, ducking curses you only half understand. A fight breaks out near the bow of bucket. A debt unpaid or just boredom with too many sharp edges. The quartermaster cracks heads together before the blades come out. You don't watch. Watching is how you lose fingers. In the midst of the racket, the cook whistles. You wish you hadn't heard it. That means food. Food means you crawl down to the galley, if you can call a cramped closet a galley, and wait your turn for salted fish and hard biscuit crawling with weevils. Everyone pretends not to see the weevils. Extra crunch, they joke. Someone tries to trade you his share for your knife. You don't have a knife. He laughs. You learn not to meet his eyes again. Back on deck. The wind shifts. That's trouble, it always is. Sails shudder. Ropes snap taut. Orders bark across the pitching planks. Yuri tossed back to hauling, nodding. Pulling again. Every line feels like it wants your fingerprints in exchange for not breaking your neck. When dusk creeps in, the ocean turns steel. The clouds bruise purple, and you wish you could fade with the light. But the bell clangs for strikes. Watch change. Someone slaps your shoulder, your turn in the crow's nest. You climb. You hate heights. Doesn't matter. You climb because the quartermaster's boot waits if you don't. The rigging sways. Each knot under your foot slippery with salt. Up here, the deck's a toy. The sea's a mouth wide enough to swallow you whole and not burp your bones. You see nothing at first, just endless gray waves and the sweep of stars clawing out from the east. But you cling to the mast, squint. Breathe the wind in deep enough to taste the distant rain. Your arms ache, your legs tremble. At least, nobody's yelling in your ear. For now, it's just you. The wood under your boots, and the low groan of the ocean telling you, you're very small and still here. Below, you know they're coiling ropes for night, checking pistols that misfire more often than not, trading smokes, cards, stories. Someone sharpens a blade, someone sharpens a lie. And you hug the mast like it might hug you back. You won't sleep yet. The crow's nest isn't for sleeping, not unless you want to find out how cold the ocean feels at midnight. You squint east, feel the wind tug your hair. Somewhere out there, another ship rides the same dark. Friend or prey? You won't know until someone below spots a sail and roars it up the mast. Then, it's back down the rigging. Faster than you came up, back to the deck, back to the rope, the powder, the teeth grinning in the dark. And as you cling there, salt sticking to your lips like a dare, you tell yourself you'll hold on. Just a little longer. And down below, someone calls your name or whatever they've decided to call you tonight. They need you back on the deck. The wind's changing. The stars are hiding. And the sea's waiting. The rigging shudders under your boots as you climb back down. Your legs don't trust the rope anymore, but your arms decide for them every knot. Every salt mine's slick coil digs lines into your palms you'll feel long after you're ashore, if you ever are. You drop onto the deck with a thud that rattles your teeth. Someone laughs. It might be the boy again, the one with the missing tooth perched like a cat on a barrel, pretending not to watch you fail. Or maybe it's Cutter, leaning against the mast with that shark grin. The one that says if you slip again, he'll be the one to remind you where you stand. Or kneel. The night air is heavier than the days. All that sun-warmed brine now cools into a damp hush that soaks your sleeves and finds the seams in your courage. Lanterns swing from beams overhead. Tiny islands of yellow fighting the wide black sea. Every flame's an invitation for the wind to snatch it away, and if that happens, you're the one the quartermaster blames. You join the line near the rail, a row of shoulders hunched into the breeze. A new task. Reef the sails. Stow what you just hoisted hours ago. A pirate ship isn't a floating castle, it's an old dog that changes moods with the clouds. Wind turns, sails come down. Lines get coiled, fingers get pinched. Complain and you'll find yourself swabbing decks alone till dawn. You try to match the other's rhythm, but you're not so clumsy. You're pulled too soft, too cautious. Salt spray steams your eyes. A splash hits your neck, trickles cold down your back. The man next to you's kind arc from weeks under the sun. Hair tied in a scrap of red cloth catches your struggle. He grunts, shoves your hands out of the way, and finishes the knot for you. Keep your fingers out the bite. He mutters, not unkindly. Rope don't care if you're new. His voice is sandpaper and drum. Then HES gone, dragging the line across the deck where another sail flaps like a drunk ghost refusing to settle. Your stomach growls. You're not hungry. Not really, but your body wants distraction from the ache crawling up your shoulders. Last meal was that biscuit you pretended was wormy. It's stuck to your teeth like glue. There's no more tonight. If you want something, you wait till dawn. They hope that cook found a barrel not too sour to scrape. Instead, you swallow air. Taste salt. Taste trust. Your tongue feels twice as big as your throat. But you stand where you're told, keep your eyes on the line. And you know you'll feel the quartermaster's boot again. Far off, thunder grumbles under the stars. A promise. Storm or not, it doesn't matter. You'll be on this deck or under it. Same as now. Some men mutter prayers. Some just spit. There's no shelter on a pirate ship. Not really. There's canvas and barrels and the smell of too many men packed into too little space. Cutter drifts by again, blade on his belt. Thumb tapping the hilt like HES, counting the seconds until you're worth testing. He leans in just enough for you to smell stale fish and drum on his breath. Next time the captain calls for a hand aloft, he rasps. You run faster, boy, or he'll tell him you got to left feet. And then you'll see how well you swim in chains. He slaps your shoulder friendly, but not. Then HES gone. His laugh railing behind him like a cut rope. You exhale only when you're sure HES not turning back. Someone calls hands to the longboat, and the line shifts again. You follow because you have to. There's a boat dangling from the davits, battered, scarred with old tar. They lower it down for patching or maybe for a quick raid, though the horizon's empty for now. You're told to bail water out of its belly. You climb down, bucket in hand, knees knocking against wet wood. Cold sloshes into your sleeves. Your fingernails ache. The boy with the missing to the piers again passes you another bucket, then bails alongside you. You're both just splashing brine back into the sea that lent it in the first place. Where did they catch you? He asks, too casual. You glance at him. He shrugs. We all got a story. Press minus ganged. Running from something? Or just too dumb to say no to golden rum? You don't answer. Maybe you don't know. Maybe the answer's stuck behind your teeth with that biscuit. He nods like he understands anyway. Don't worry. Tomorrow, you'll think of something better to tell. Then he laughs a soft, brittle sound that makes you wish you hadn't asked where he came from. Bucket's empty, you scramble back up. The quartermaster's boots appear again, always where you least want them. He checks the boat, checks you, says nothing. That's good. Silence means you didn't ruin anything yet. Night drags its anchor across the deck. Lanterns get trimmed lower. Shadows stretch longer. Some men curl into hammocks slung between beams. Some squat on the deck, backs against barrels, heads nodding forward into restless sleep. You don't dare lie down yet. You're each anew. Sleep before you're told to sleep. And Cutter might help you wake up the wrong way. So you lean on the rail instead. The sea beneath you glows, patches of moonlight shimmer across black water. You wonder what's down there waiting. Sharks. Bones. Secrets not worth diving for. You shiver. Not from cold, though it's cold enough, but from the thought that if you slip, the sea swallows you without even a burp. No grave, no marker, just another snack for the deep. They whisper near your ear, makes you jump. It's the man with the red cloth again, the one who saved your knot. He nods at the lantern swinging above your head. Keep that flame alive, boy. Wind takes it. Quartermaster LL, take your hide. You nod. He disappears again, a ghost with skin and breath. Use where the sea has more shadows than stars. The sails creak overhead. The mast groans. The ship talks in its sleep. You rest your head on your arms, eyes half minus open. The deck rolls and dips, like it wants to rock you under. For a moment, you let it. The wind hums in the rigging. The waves slap a lullaby on the hull. And then a boot nudges your ribs. Soft, but not. You turn below. Someone grunts. Bilge needs minding. You straighten, bones cracking, legs numb. The longboat bailing was practice. Now comes the real stink. The low deck again, darker, closer. The air sour and warm like a wet blanket that's never known soap. But you don't argue. You grab the lantern. You start down the hatch, and the ship swallows you again down into its belly, where the real ghosts wait. And somewhere behind you, the sea laughs. The hatch thumps closed above your head, a solid, final sound, like the world has decided to seal you in for good. Down here the air is thicker, older, carrying every bad decision that severed dripped from this ship's ribs. The lantern in your hand sways with your steps, throwing wobbly shadows across beams slick with brine and sweat. You breathe through your mouth. It doesn't help. The smell is a stew of old bilge water, stale grog, and something that might once have been a rat, emphasis on once. This is where a pirate ship hides its shame. And tonight, you're its keeper. You find the bilge, or rather it finds you. A low pool of brackish water sloshing with the roll of the hull. Every ship leaks. They told you topside. Doesn't matter how tight the planks were hammered. The sea wants in. Make sure it doesn't drown you while the captain dreams of Spanish galleons and prize money. You sink onto a crate, knees pressed to your chin for a moment's warmth. Then you grab the bilge pump handle. Long, slick, iron minus cold, and start working. Up, down, up, down. A rhythm so simple, your mind can wander. Which it does, because what else is it supposed to do? Somewhere above, boots thud. Voices rise and die in the planks. Laughter. A snatch of a song muffled by timber but close enough to remind you that life goes on. Up there where there's air and stars and maybe a splash of rum. Your breath sticks to your collar. Each pump creaks louder than the next. You glance at your lantern. The flame dips when the wind sneaks through the boards. You imagine it guttering out you alone in this floating coffin with nothing but the gurgle of the ship's belly for company. So you steady the lantern closer. Keep pumping. Pretend the scrape of the handle is a heartbeat. You wonder who did this yesterday. The bilge doesn't care, it fills up whether a king or a cabin boy bails it. Maybe someone like you sat here too, dreaming of dry land and dry clothes and food that doesn't wriggle when you break it open. Maybe they climbed back up the ladder and never came back down. A red scuttles across a beam. Or maybe it's just a rope end, flicking shadows. Either way, you keep pumping. Up, down, down. Salt stings your wrists where rope burns blue. You taste it when you lick your cracked lip, the ocean reminding you that it owns every drop of sweat you give. After a while, could be minutes, could be hours, footsteps scrape the ladder behind you. You tense, half-minded, hoping it's relief. It's not. It's Cutter, his boots loud enough to make the wood flinch. He stands there a second, watching you work. A small smile tugs at his mouth like HES chewing a joke only HES allowed to enjoy. Bilge rat suits you. He drawls. He squats, close enough for you to smell that same sharp tang of salt and cheap rum. Some boys think they're too fine for this bit. You don't look like you got illusions, though. You keep your eyes on the pump handle. Up, down. His finger flicks the lantern glass. Keep that lid. Last lad who let it dying here got trampled when we hit a swell. Didn't find him till we docked, half-minus pulped in the water. Shit, don't care who can't see in the dark. He straightens, boots squeak. His grin flickers. Pump slower, you stay longer. Up to you. Then HES gone. Footsteps swallowed by the ladder again. You exhale. Shoulders dropping an inch. You try not to think about being half-minus pulped. You focus on the handle instead. Down, up, down. At some point, the sea's hush creeps inside your ears. The creak of the hull, the drip of water, the sigh of your own breath. It starts to sound like a lullaby if you squint your mind the right way. And maybe you doze a bit, eyes half-minus lidded, while your arms keep the handle moving on stubborn memory alone. You dream in flashes. A tavern by the docks, spill grog in the hand you almost held. A street where you never had to watch your back for knives or storms. A mother's voice, maybe. Or just the wind pretending to be kind. Then a splash jolts you cold. Sudden. A leak above, or your own elbow knocking the pump's catch loose. Water sloshes against your ankle. You swear. Quietly, because curses he echo more than prayers. You adjust the pump. Start again. Eventually a voice calls down. That's enough. Bring the lantern. Your knees pop when you stand. Your back protests. But you're grateful. You say thank you if you trusted your throat to find the word. You climb the ladder, lantern swinging, each rung creaking a promise that the deck above is still there, waiting to swallow you back into the salty, star-minus brick dark. When you haul yourself up, dawn hasn't come yet. That the sky has softened from ink to bruised blue. Men shuffle about coiling ropes, mumbling at each other. A new wind is teasing the sails. Somewhere, someone curses the weather. Somewhere else, the boy with the missing tooth spots you untosses you a dry rag. Still got all your fingers? He asks, half a smile. Good. Fail me dem soon. You wipe your hands. Salt grits under your nails. The deck rolls under your boots. The rigging hums above your head. Another job waits, always does. But for now, you breathe deep. You made it through the bilge, through Cutter's grin, through the ship's hungry bones. You're still here, for now. A coil of rope lands at your feet with a wet slap, cutting through whatever shred of calm you managed to carry up from the bilge. It's frayed in spots, rough in others. It smells like old sweat in the ocean's sly breath. Before you can ask why it's there, someone barks behind you. Lines need minus starring. Don't stand there like driftwood. You turn. It's old Jory, his beard's more salt than hair now. But his hands still look like they could tie a knot that hold the sun in place. He doesn't bother with pleasantries. Pirates don't waste sugar on words they can spend on orders. You haul the rope to a barrel of pitch, warm and sticky from the sun that's not even finished rising yet. You kneel. You dunk. You drag the rope through your gloved palm. The tar clings to your skin in greasy threads, catching under your nails. It smells like burning pine. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a voice mumbles that this job might be worse than the bilge. But at least up here you can see the horizon. At least you can breathe air that doesn't taste like someone else's nightmares. Around you, the deck is alive. Sailcloth snaps overhead, snapping like teeth every time a gust muscles through. Boots stomp past bare feet. To some belonging to men you've barely glimpsed since you came aboard. A few nod as they pass, but most don't bother. Your ease still new. Still, the soft mind is handed one who'll either get tougher or vanish overboard some moonless night. Old Jory settles beside you with a grunt. He picks up the other end of the rope. He works in silence at first, big knuckles pushing pitch into the lines like HES feeding a hungry dog. Ever tar lines before? He asks, voice like gravel in a tin cup. You shake your head. He grunts again, which might mean good or hopeless. You can't tell. Lines rot, he says when the silence gets too heavy. Salt eats them. Sun frays them. Rats chew them when they're bored. And if they snap in a squall, that pretty sail up there turns into a knife. Seen a line whip a man's ear clean off once. He says it like HES describing a lost button, nothing more. You keep working. Hands sticky, arms slow. The pitch seeps into your skin. The warmth leaking up your sleeves. Old Jory talks or maybe mutters about winds HES chased. Captains HES buried, storms that nearly took his beard along with the rest of him. His words drift and undoubt like seabirds, landing where they please, taking off again when they're bored. When the rope's done, he tosses it aside with a grunt that sounds suspiciously like approval. Good enough, he says. Next time, less pitch on your sleeves, more on the line. Before you can mumble a reply, HES up, boots clumping away. You wipe your arms on a scrap of sailcloth, leaving dark smears that mark you as the newest fool on board for the rest of the day. Above, the sails belly out, fat with wind. The ship tilts a bit sharper, the hull creaking like an old man stretching his back. Somewhere, someone sings a tune that has too many verses about rum and too few about making it home alive. You catch scraps of it as you haul the rope to the coil bin. Whiskey and sugar, bones in the deep. Pray for the mermaids to cradle your sleep. A shout interrupts the chorus. Another order, another job. This time it's the capstan. The anchor chain needs feeding back in after last night's idle drifting. You shoulder your way over, toes aching inside salt minus stiff boots. The capstan's a beast of a thing. A vertical barrel with hand spikes for leverage. It looks innocent until you start pushing. The first shove wakes muscles you didn't know you owned. The second shove burns them to the bone. Around and around you lean, alongside to others a boy barely older than you and a man who smells like every tavern you've ever fled at closing time. No one talks while the capstan groans. The chain rattles somewhere below deck like a restless snake. Your shoulders scream. The deck bucks under your feet. You catch glimpses of the ocean, endless, laughing between the shoulders of your sweating crewmates. When the chain locks in place, someone calls for you to check the links. You don't argue, you just drop to your knees, fingers probing cold iron, testing for cracks. Each link is bigger than your wrist, heavier than your regrets. You tap each one like it owes you a secret. Above, gulls wheel and bicker over scraps that haven't fallen yet. You envy them for a heartbeat their wings. Their freedom to ride the wind where no rope can snap. Satisfied or at least too tired to carry you straighten. The deck rolls. Your head swims. Salt crusts the corners of your eyes. Oi, someone says behind you. It's the kid who pushed the capstan with you. He grins, gap minus toothed. First time checking acre chains. Bet you didn't think pirates did so much honest work, eh? You want to laugh. You almost do. But your ribs hurt when you breathe too deep. So you just nod. He claps you on the shoulder. A gesture that would knock you over if you were any less stubborn. Eat when they call for it. And hide your share of salt pork. Or cutter else teal it. Trust me. Then HES off, boots drumming up the steps toward the quarterdeck with the sun's peeking over the sails, turning tar and sweat and salt into something that almost looks golden. You stand there a moment, rolling your shoulder, blinking at the dawn that's not really dawn, just another excuse for the work to keep going. Somewhere below, the bilge water you fought last watch sloshes in its dark cradle. Somewhere above, the sails whisper secrets in a language you're learning to slowly. You shake the tar off your hands, flex your fingers, and then you turn because another voice calls your name. And on a pirate ship, your name is the only thing you're allowed to keep until someone decides you're not worth even that. So you keep moving, keep breathing, keep your feet under you, your head down, your eyes open for the horizon you're not sure you'll ever see again. And you don't stop, not yet. The deck tilts under your boots, that lazy, rolling sway that makes your stomach flop like a fish on dry boards. You catch yourself on a crate just before your knees remember they'd rather fold. Around you, the ship murmurs, ropes creak, the sails sigh, timbers groan in a language only old salts claim to understand. You're still new enough to believe the ship talks back if you listen close enough. You're not sure that's comforting. A call echoes down from the forecastle. All hands to the guns. Your spine goes rigid. You've heard the stories pirates only bother the guns when something's worth aiming at, or when the captain's in the mood for practice. Neither option sits easy on your breakfast tail, hardtack and salted fish that still watches you with its single milky eye. You shuffle forward, heart thumping somewhere near your ears. The gunners are already hauling out the tropowolins, unlashing iron cannons with the same care you'd give a drunken uncle you're trying to keep from face minus plating at a wedding. One of the gunners, a weary man everyone calls hook, tosses you a mallet and points you at the cannon closest to the rail. You ever clear a touch hole, green tail? His voice is amusement dipped in vinegar. You glance at the cannon. You've seen bigger ones rusting in coastal forts, but this one is yours. For today, anyway, and it smells of old powder and oil and whatever dread sticks to steel that spit death more than once. You mutter, "No, sir," and Hook snorts at the sir. He smacks your shoulder with the back of his hand. Not gentle. You'll learn. Plugs out. Worms ready. Don't stick your face down the barrel unless you want a new hairdo. You won't go back. A cheer somewhere aft makes your eyes flick up. Another ship. Tiny at first. Then the white flash of sails slides into view between your crewmate's shoulders. Merchantman, by the look of it a fat minus bellied promise of spices. Coin, maybe rum if Neptune's smiling. Or maybe just trouble. You work the touch hole, poking and clearing with the brass pick until Hook grunts his approval. Sweat trickles from your hairline, gets gritty with powder flakes. The can unfeels alive under your palms. A sleeping beast waiting for someone to shout fire. Around you, the gunners prime the charges. Heavy cloth bags of powder. Black and dense, smell like the storms you used to watch from your father's porch, back when you still had a porch to watch from. They tamp it in with iron rods, driving it deep with thuds that vibrate through your bones. Then comes the shot round iron, dull and pitted. Hook he FTS, it like it's a melon. He kisses it for luck, which you decide not to question. He nods at you. You steady the ball as it sees down the barrel, careful not to drop it and shatter your foot and your dignity in the same heartbeat. Run it out. The order cracks across the deck like a whip. Together with the other green tails, you throw your shoulder into the cannon's carriage. The wheels lurch forward, trundling to the open gun port. The sea leers at you through that dark gap, foam minus flecken denless. Hook shoves a linstock into your pomace, low match wrapped around a stick. The ember at the end winking at you like a dare. When the word comes, Hook says, you touch her off. Not before. Not late. You flinch, I'll boot your ghost overboard myself. You nod. The ember flickers, spits a tiny curl of smoke that makes your eyes sting. You wish you could blame the smoke for how much your hands tremble. The captain's voice cuts through the cannon. Cruise hold, fire hold. You peer through the gap. The other ship's closer now, sails full. Her deck a mess of shadows and silhouettes. No flags yet. Maybe a trap, maybe just fat. Dumb luck drifting your way. Either way, you're the one holding a match over enough powder to erase the front half of your skull. Hook leans against the carriage, casual as a cat on a warm stone. You married, green tail? You shake your head. Dud? Cannon don't care if you're love. Cannon's the only wife worth swearing to out here. Treat her gentle, she roars for you. Treat her sloppy, she bites. He grins, and you try to grin back. It doesn't stick. A gull shrieks overhead, diving for some scrap that didn't make it into the cook spot. You watch it swoop through the haze, and for a heartbeat, you trade every coin you've never earned for wings. Then the captain's bellow cuts that dream clean into fire. You barely think. You touch the ember to the priming vent. A hungry breath, then the cannon kicks like a mule. Smoke wraps your face. Powder slaps your nose raw, and you stagger back on numb legs. The gun roars down the line, one after another. A stuttering growl that shakes the sea's teeth. The air's thick with black clouds and the sharp stink of burning saltpeter. You taste iron. You taste salt. You taste fear in something you might mistake for joy, if you're fool enough. The deck shudders. Voices curse, cheer. Whoop like drunk ghosts in a graveyard. The other ship lurches, a splinter of sail sheared away by someone's lucky shot. Yours? You'll claim it later at the mess table. No one else bother to check. Hook claps you so hard on the back your lungs forget their job for half a heartbeat. Reload. The call comes before you can draw breath. Your hands know the drill now, or pretend to. You fumble for the worm. The sponge, the charge. Your arms burn, your ears ring. Your shirt's stuck to your spine with sweat and powder grime. All around you, pirates laugh and shout and feed the cannons like priests feeding a hungry god. No one cares if you're scared. No one cares if your pulse strips over itself. You're part of the gun now, iron and wooden, sweat and will. Nothing else. And somewhere in the roar and grin of it all, you feel the ship grin with you, a cruel, salt minus blooded grin that says you belong. At least until the next broadside proves otherwise. And so you brace the carriage, you feed the powder, you push your shoulder into a gun that doesn't know your name. And for the first time since you stumbled aboard, you think maybe that's just fine. You're not a name here. You're the cannon's keeper. You're the rope's star. You're the bite in the salt wind. You're a pirate, or you're pretending well enough to fool the sea for another hour. And the sea, tonight, pretends right back. When the guns fall silent, if silent is the right word, for the wheezing creak of timber and the hiss of splinters falling like rain, you stand there, linstock drooping from your fingers, trying to swallow the taste of soot off your tongue. Your ears ring. Your heartbeat crashes louder than the broadside did. Beside you, Hook is already spitting black phlegm onto the deck, grinning like he'd just won a prize fight against Neptune himself. You want to ask if you hit anything, if you did your part. But no one bothers to count your shots here. On a pirate ship, the only count that matters is whether you're still breathing. Before you can catch another breath. The call goes out, boarders ready, You'd hope the other ship would limp away, maybe strike colors. Toss out a chest of silver, wave politely as you sail past. But hope, like the sails overhead, has holes in it. And you see it now, the merchant's crew, scrambling on their deck like ants in a kick nest, trying to push you off with muskets and boarding pikes that look a century too clean. Hook slaps a cutlass into your hand. It's dull minus-edged, nicked like an old dog's ear, and heavier than any farm tool you ever swung. You know how to use that, he asks. You look at the blade, the notches along its spine, the bit of dried something you hope is rust. You shrug. He laughs so loud you swear it rattles the rigging. Perfect. Just swing where it hurts and don't stop till someone tells you to. You wish you could ask for armor, or a helmet, or your mother's apron to hide under. But all you get is a slap on the shoulder and a push toward the rail, where the boarding hooks already bite into the other ship's sides like iron teeth. The ships scrape hulls, close enough now that you can smell the other crew's sweat, tar, fear. The same things you smell on yourself. The first man goes over a big brute they call gull. He vaults the gap like HES stepping over a puddle. You hear a crunch, a shout, the clang of steel on steel. Your turn. The world tilts, sea below, sails above, the deck in between. You swing your legs over the splintered rail, boots slipping on the damp wood. For half a second you're floating, then your knees slam onto unfamiliar planks. And you roll, cutlass scraping the deck. Someone shouts in your ear. It's not Hook. It's not anyone you know. But they're swinging something heavy, and instinct drags you sideways. The cutlass is clumsy in your grip. Your arms numb from the recoil of the cannons. Your wrist wants to drop the blade and find a rope to cling to. Instead you swing. Awkward. Wide. It connects. More luck than skill with something soft. A yell. A clatter. You don't look at the face. You just swing again. And again. The air is a storm of grunts and curses and iron. You duck when you're lucky, flinch when you're not. Your shoulder catches a blunt knock, maybe a belaying pin. Maybe someone's elbow, and white sparks burst behind your eyes. You taste blood, yours? Who knows? Hook crashes past you, laughing like HES dancing at a festival. He kicks a man in the gut, slams his cutlass hilt minus first into an other's mouth. Roars something you don't catch. You stumble after him, half minus swallowed by the tide of bodies. You see the merchant crew, farmers, maybe, or just unlucky traders with more guts than weapons. They swing sticks, knives, tools meant for cargo holds, not killing. You parry badly. Your blade skitters off another, jarring your teeth. A fist finds your ribs. A knee clips your thigh. You lunge. The cutlass bites into cloth. Scrapes bone. Someone shrieks. You yank it free and hate the way your palms slip, now sticky with sweat. Maybe worse. A musket goes off somewhere. The blast deafens you more than the cannons did. The powder stench mingles with salt. Iron fear. You shove forward, shoulder to shoulder with men who smell like you do. Half alive, half wild. A bell rings, the merchant surrender signal. You don't hear it at first. You only feel the fight sag around you, fists slowing, blades dropping. The air holds its breath. Someone grabs your collar, spins you. It's Hook, grinning through a mask of sweat and soot. Still got all your fingers, green tail? You hold up your hands like a schoolboy caught nicking fruit. He howls laughter, claps you on the back so hard your knees buckle. All around, the pirate crew's already rooting through the spoils. Barrels, chests, crates of who minus knows minus what. Voices ring out. Spices. Wine. Silk. A man to your left has a bolt of fabric draped over his shoulders like a king's robe, a grin splitting his face. You lean against the mast, or maybe it leans on you. Your arms shake. Your legs itch to run but have nowhere to go. You taste salt and copper and the strange thrill of being not dead yet. You realize you haven't breathed properly since you stepped over the rail. You do now. Slow, shaky, enough to feel the ocean's pulse under your boots. Hook's voice cuts through the racket. "Aye, Green-tail, don't think you're done yet." You blink at him. He jerks a thumb at the piles of loot, the prisoners being herded into corners. Plunder's got to move, and we're short of backs. Grab a barrel. Unless you'd rather swim at home. You almost laugh. Almost. Instead, you push off the mast, grip your cutlass tighter than you need to and step into the chaos. One more set of hands feeding the pirate ship's endless hunger. The sea rocks beneath you. The ship groans around you. And somewhere behind the exhaustion and bruises, something like a grin finds your lips too. Yuri's still here. Still standing. Still pretending you belong. And the ship, cruel, hungry, alive, pretends right back. There's no drum roll for pirates hauling spoils. Just the slap of bare feet on wet planks and the low, rhythmic grunt of men too tired to sing but too wired to stop. You find yourself shoulder to shoulder with Hook again. Though neither of you says much now, no more jokes about your green tail. No insults about your grip. Work needs doing. So you do it. The first barrel you tackle smells faintly of oranges, though the markings say sugar. Doesn't matter. It's heavy, awkward, and your arms are already half rubber from clinging to ropes and swinging a cutlass like a man who never learned at which end was sharper. Around you, pirates become porters, stumbling from the battered merchant deck back to your own ship like ants dragging picnic crumbs. Each pass across the makeshift bridge, a few creaking planks lashed between rails. Feels like a dare the sea could win any moment. The tide slaps your boots, threatens to lick your balance away. But somehow you keep stepping forward. Barrel after barrel. Hook leans against the rail mid-minus haul, wiping sweat off his brow with a rag that looks more grease than cloth. He watches you wrestle your second load and shakes his head. Still thinking of honest work when you get home? He wheezes, grinning around missing teeth. You grunt. You're not sure which hurts worse, your shoulders or your pride. The barrel digs into your spine with every slip. The salty wind stings the scratches across your knuckles. But you keep walking. When the last cask rattles across, the mood shifts fast from hungry work to hungrier claiming. You watch pirates stare the ship's cargo apart like kids at a fair. Spices, cloth, rum, moth. All dumb touts sniffed, tasted, argued over in half-minus whispers that drift into laughter or threats depending on the greed behind them. You try not to stare too long at the prisoners lined up under the mainmast, hands tied, eyes lowered. Some are sailors, beaten and banged up like you. Some look like merchants, soft hands now cuffed tight enough to bruise. One older man. Maybe the ship's quartermaster catches your eye and looks away quick, like you'd go stay che'd rather not see. Hook catches your staring. He elbows you gently. Don't think too much, he mutters. It's just silver on to legs. Somebody yell ransom in, or they'll get dropped off Nick's friendly cove. If they're lucky. You wonder if that's what you are too. Silver onto legs. Maybe Hook's got a bet going on how long your neck lasts. Maybe you're not the only green tail hauled aboard for cheap hands and cheaper risks. You shake the thought loose, or try to. The boatswain, gruff as a boar, with a voice that sounds like a cannon scrape, calls out the tally. Some silk bolts. Some spices, barrels of wine. Though half were holed by stray shot. A crate of beads that'll outrate well in distant ports you can't pronounce. There's no ceremony, no prayers of thanks, no speeches. A handful of coins pass hands for bets made on who default first in the boarding. You hear your name, Green Tail, in the laughter, but it's not cruel now. More like an old trap but poke just to see if you flinch. You don't. Not this time. When the barrels are stowed, the sails catch the wind again. The broken merchant ship drifts behind you. A new scar on the sea's skin. You stand at the rail with Hook staring back at the shrinking shape bobbing on blue. Think they'll be all right? You ask. Hook scratches his beard. If they've got sense, aye. If not, that's beside a nest problem. Below deck, the cook's already boiling up something that smells halfway edible. Hook nudges you toward the hatch. Go on. Earned your share. You descend the ladder like an old man, every rung an insult to your aching thighs. The galley is barely more than a bench, a pot, a few swinging hooks where salted pork dangles like lumps of regret. The cook a thick minus-armed man called Squid, though you're not sure if that's because of what he cooks, or how he smells ladles you a scoop of fish stew. It's lashes onto your shirt before you can even sit. You drop to the plank floor, back against a barrel, bowl in hand. The stew's thin but warm. Each mouthful tastes like salt, grease, and the sea's secrets. The pirates around you chew in silence, a brotherhood of mouths too busy to brag. One younger lad no older than you, maybe less, shifts closer. HES, missing to front teeth but smiles with the rest. First all, he whispers. You nod. He tips his bowl toward yours like a toast. They only get louder from here. You don't ask his name. He doesn't ask yours. On this ship, names come second to work, and first to rumors. When your bowl's scraped clean, you leave it on the deck and push yourself up slow. Squid growls that there'll be another pot come dawn. Or what passes for dawn when the stars trade places with gray sky. Hook finds you again as you climb topside. He throws an arm around your shoulders, his sweat mixing with yours like an unspoken pact. The breeze tastes sharper now, laced with victory and the faint promise of more spoils ahead. Think you'll stick it out, Greentail? He asks. You want to answer no, to swear you'll jump ship at the first port. Find honest work sweeping out taverns. Maybe plant a garden. Forget how powder and blood smell in your nose. But you look at the sails patched, flapping, alive in the sea that stretches out like an endless stare. And you nod. Hook laughs, loud enough to wake the moon. He slaps your back again, the same bruise twice blessed, and leaves you leaning at the rail, wondering if tomorrow's wind will forgive your decision. That there's no tomorrow yet. Just the creak of the ship under you, the hush of the waves against her ribs, and the sly suspicion that you've learned to float in a world that never promised you to swim. Sleep, if you can call it that, comes in fits that cling to the corners of your eyelids like stubborn barnacles. No feather mattress. No pillow under your neck, just a coil of rope for your head and the gentle argument of what's shifting with each wave. Around you, men breathe like the sea. Deep, rough, sometimes too quiet. The ship's belly creaks as it rolls. A lullaby for fools and the desperate. You curl tighter into your stolen corner near the powder kegs, hoping no spark finds you tonight. You don't dream of home. You don't dream of a tavern or soft sheets. When you drift off, all you see is the waterline rising and falling like a throat, gulping secrets you'll never hear. And Hook's half-minus grin when he says you'll stick it out. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. The ship doesn't care either way. A boot nudges your hip before dawn, or what your bones agree must be dawn. Gray leaks through the hatch. The deck above thuds with boots already at work. You groan, roll over, and find Squid's face staring down, one eyebrow lost to an old galley fire. The other daring you to talk back. Up, he grunts. Captain wants all hands on deck. Weather's turning. Weather's turning. It always is. You push to your feet, legs stiff, spine crackling like old timbers. Your shirt clings to your back's wet and salt turned to a second skin. On deck, the world is white minus Captain Restless. The horizon's blurred with mist, and the wind tastes like it wants to pick a fight. You see the helmsman bracing his boots wide, muscles locked against the wheel. The sails strain and snap like they're reminding you who's really in charge. Hook's already up there. Hair plastered to his forehead, grin replaced with a scowl you suspect means HES happier than ever. He spots you, lifts his chin, and jerks his thumb toward the rigging. No words, you know what he means: climb. You hate the climb. Every rung of rope a gamble, every gusted air. But up you go. Salt spray on your lips, heartbeat lodged in your throat. The crow's nest above swings like a drunk's promise. You wish you could squeeze your eyes shut, but the wind would slap you for it. From above, the sea doesn't look smaller, only more alive. Waves gnash and grin at your tiny hull. The ship bucks, but the canvas must stay trimmed or you'll ride that buck straight to the bottom. Hands numb, arms raw. You wrestle knots tighter, pull lines through pulleys slick with mist. Your shoulders burn. A gust hits your side, and for a moment your feet lose the rope. You dangle. Your stomach flips over itself like a gutless fish. Below, Hook's laugh cuts through the gale. HES not worried. HES been up there too many times. He knows the ship loves to throw new blood around like confetti. You grit your teeth and lock your boots back in place. Minutes or hours up here, it's all the same. By the time your boots slap the deck again, your hands are blisters, your lungs taste of brine, and you're not sure your legs remember how to stand straight. Good climb, Hook says, voice raised over the wind's growl. Didn't drop. Yet. You shoot him a look that's half a curse, half a question about whether your pay will ever cover this bruising circus. He claps your back, and that's answer enough. You're too tired to flinch when the waves wash over the rails, drenching you to the ribs. The sea wants to come aboard. The sea always wants more of you than you're ready to give. The captain appears not a man who needs to shout. His eyes do the work. Sharp as a hook, deep as a storm cellar. He points aft, and Hook is gone, vanishing into the spray with a wave that's not quite friendly. You stay put until the captain's stare lands on you. He flicks his fingers toward the mainmast, where a loose line flaps like a flag of surrender. You move before your legs can vote no. By now, the deck is slicker than the bottled glass they drink from when they're not gutting ships. Each step is a question to gravity. Friend or foe? The line snaps at your knuckles, and you curse under your breath, loud enough only for the wind to carry away. You tie it off sloppy the first time, better the second. Behind you, the sea groans like it's disappointed you didn't mess up more. When the storm breaks, because every storm does, eventually, the wind eases its fists and the ship rights itself by degrees. The sails droop, then swell again with a gentler breath. The sun peeks out like a gossip, checking who's still standing. Hook returns with a battered bucket half full of stale rainwater. He shoves it at you. Green tail. You do. You spill half down your chin, but you don't care. It tastes like relief, like another are not swallowed by the deep. Around you, the men grin at the clearing sky. They slap shoulders, curse the clouds, laugh at ghosts you can't see. You lean against the rail. Legs jelly, arms useless, but heart your traitorous heart, hammering out some twisted joy that you're still here. You glance at the horizon, on nothing but blue and bruised skies stitched together by salt and prayers. There's no land yet, no promise of its in. Just work, wind, and the endless rattle of canvas overhead. Hook catches your stare. He follows it, then shrugs. Tomorrow? He says, same as today, if the wind's kind. You almost ask if the wind's ever kind, but your lips crack into a smile instead, one the sea steals as soon as it forms. The rigging creaks again. The captain barks new orders. Hook elbows you toward the lines, and your blistered palms remember their place on the rope. There's no bell for breaks, no dinner whistle, no neat line where your shift ends. There's only the work the ship's pulse beneath your feet, the salty air in your lungs, and the unspoken promise that if you don't hang on, she won't either. So you grip the rope, brace your boots, and lean back into the wind that nearly killed you an hour ago. And when Hook calls you green tail this time, you almost feel like you've earned it. The afternoon sun is deceitful. It pretends to warm your shoulders, but only serves to show you how raw your skin has become under the salted rope burns. You're learning that the ocean isn't so much a place as a lesson you take over and over, like a child forced to write the same line until the ink runs dry. A cry goes up from the bow of the lookout, perched high and half-minus mad from squinting at the horizon. You crane your neck, eyes watering from the salt haze. There it is, a speck of canvas where there shouldn't be any. Another ship. Hook appears beside you as if he was stitched to your hip. His grin is back sharp, boyish. The kind of grin that only grows when trouble's brewing. "Precious fat," he says, voice low. "Fat and slow." You nod, though your stomach knots tighter than the line in your hand. You've heard the stories whispered under the deck. A fat merchant ship is a gift from Poseidon. A navy frigate is Poseidon's left. The captain's talks past, all coat and boots in that hush that follows him like an obedient dog. His eyes cut to the horizon, then to the men. No bellowed speech, just a flick of his wrist that sends the deck into a sudden, buzzing hum. Cannons are checked, run out just enough to peek from their wooden hatches. Powder kegs are counted, wicks measured, shot rolled like iron fruit across the damp boards. You help because Hook elbows you into it. He watches as you fumble with the powder scoop, snorting at your clumsy hands. You pack it to loose, you'll lose your arm. You'll blow us all to Neptune. Fun game, eh? He laughs. You don't. You tap the next round as carefully as a priest blessing bread. Minutes stretch as the distance closes. From here, the other ship is no bigger than your thumbnail, but the captain seems to know its secrets just by how the sails dip and swell. Hook squints through a battered spyglass. He says it like a prayer and a promise. Merchant. Dutch colors. Bless the sea. The words roll down the line of sailors, and you feel the lift in their voices. It's not joy, not exactly, but hunger. Hunger for plunder, for a pocket lined with coin, for an extra ration of rum when it's done. It's the hunger to not be the unlucky soul who loads the wrong gun at the wrong time. The helmsman barks something you can't catch. The ship heels hard to starboard, the deck tilts and your boots slip. But Hook's hand slams against your shoulder, steadying you before you pitch headfirst into the sea. Eyes up, he growls. Fight's never just steel and shot. You watch the sails, you watch the men. You watch your own hands most of all. The drums begin, not real drums, but the drum of boots, the pound of bare feet on wood, the dull, echoing boom of the hull cutting through the chop. You feel it in your ribs. The ocean is under you, around you, inside you. It smells of sweat and promise and blood not yet spilled. The ships draw close enough that you can see faces on the other deck. Tiny, sunburnt, equally wide mine aside. You wonder which one of them is staring back at you, wondering if your aim will be worse than theirs. Orders hiss along the deck. The captain raises one finger, wait. Then sweeps it down and the cannons bark in response. A deep, hungry roar that shakes your bones so hard your teeth ache. Smoke swallows the sunlight. You taste it in your mouth. Curtain fire. The recoil kicks the cannon back on its rope stays, and your shoulder flares as you shove it forward again. Cowder boys dart past, barefoot ghosts, hauling shot and flame like it's the most normal job in the world. Over the thunder, Hook's voice cuts sharp. Mind the powder. Mind your thumb. HES grinning again, sweat cutting channels through the soot on his cheeks. If HES scared, he hides it behind that grin. Another shot. Another shudder through the timbers. You hear the crack of what may be yours. Maybe theirs. The air fills with splinters, tiny knives that nick your ear, your knuckles. Closer now. So close you see the other ship's name carved in crooked paint, half minus faded by sun and salt. You think about what's in her hold. Sugar cloth, maybe silver. You think about how many men would rather die here than see it safely to port. A voice howls behind you, not Hook's. One of your own goes down, clutching a shoulder. Blood bright against the dull deck. Nobody stops. Hook drags the man aside with one hand, wipes his palm on his coat, and shoves you back at the cannon. Keep packing, he snarls. Pray later. You pack. You ram. You fire. You smell the salt and smoke. The sweat of the man next to you who might not be alive, where the sun dips below the waves. Your heartbeat matches the gun's rhythm. Boom, pause. Reload, boom. A shudder, louder than the last. A cheer goes up the other ship's mast tilts, sails flapping like a bird with broken wings. You can almost taste the victory. But you know better than to lick your lips too soon. Boarding hooks. Hook calls, already grabbing a coil of rope. Time to say hello, green tail. Before you can argue, you're pushed forward with the pack. Cutlasses drawn, pistols tucked at belts, your legs carrying you because the ship does, not because you choose it. The gap between decks closes. Lines fly. Hooks bite wood. The two ships kiss with a screech of timber. And then you're leaping over the rail onto planks slick with sea in the last man's breath. You see the whites of eyes. You smell the tang of gunpowder, the sour edge of fear. You grip your cutlass like it's an oar. You forgot how to row. Beside you, Hook laughs not at you, but at the whole beautiful mess of it. He barrels ahead, blade flashing. You stumble after, feet skidding, shoulders slamming another man so hard you both nearly topple overboard. Steel sings. You flinch. Parry by accident more than skill. Somewhere in the swirl, you remember to breathe, to swing, to stay upright when the deck bucks under your boots. Voices blur into roars. A pistol shot cracks to close. A man you don't know falls at your feet. You step over him because Hook's already dragging you forward, eyes blazing, mouth full of curses that taste like prayers. You lose count of swings, of cries, of how many splinters lodge in your palms. You only know when Hook's fist slams your chest hold here, and you find yourself back at the rail, blood on your sleeve, victory in your mouth like bitter rum. The merchant's flag dips. The crew drops arms, some begging, some too dumbfounded to speak. It's done, for now. You look at Hook, his grin wider than the ocean, his eyes saying, "Told you, green tail." You look past him at the sea stretching on and on, like it's daring you to think this was the hard part. And the waves slap the hull, whispering more storms, more salt, more fights. The planks under your boots tremble with that promise. Your feet barely remember how to stand still. After the roar and crash of the boarding, the sudden quiet is louder than any cannon you fired. The deck you stand on now. Once a Dutch merchant's floating vault is sticky with spilled rum and sweat, splinters and scraps of cloth that might have been someone's sleeve, someone's collar. Maybe yours. Hook leans against the main mast like he owns it now. Maybe he does. His grin is gone, replaced by something more practical, counting the hull. His lips move, silently ticking off crates and barrels as the crew drags them from the hold like children unwrapping forbidden presents. The captain watches from his perch near the quarterdeck, coat flapping gently in the sea breeze. He says little, but his eyes are coins, weighing, counting, storing everything in some ledger you'll never see. A nod here, a glance there, and men lead to his silent orders. You stand there, blade still sticky in your hand, wondering where to put it down. Hook flicks a glance your way, barks out a laugh, untosses you a rag from somewhere inside his coat. You catch it just before it slaps your nose. "Wipe it," he says. "Rust is a liar's prize." You wipe. The cloth comes away red, black, then read again. It smells like cheap gunpowder and salt. There's something sobering in that scent. Like the ocean wants you to remember nothing you hold stays clean for long. One of the quartermasters, a weary man with a grin too big for his face, kicks open a crate at your feet. Pale, clumpy, precious. He dips into fingers. Tastes it, nods. Then he gestures at you with his sugar-minus dusted hand. "Yo!" Strong back. "Aye?" He doesn't wait for your answer. "All it below. Keep the barrels dry or the captain'll have you swab the deck with your tongue." You find your legs working before your mouth does. Hook slaps your shoulder as you pass. A small mercy. A small mercy. You're not alone. He grabs the other end of the crate. He FTS it up with a grunt. Together you stagger down a gangplank, swaying in time with the ship's roll. Below, the hold is a cavern of shadows and groaning timbers. Lanterns swing from hooks, throwing pools of light that barely touch the corners. You catch glimpses, barrels of sugar, kegs of rum, bolts of cloths, stitched tight with merchant seals. All of it now stamped with the invisible mark of your new crew. Hook drops his end of the crate onto a stack so high it looks ready to topple. You lower yours with less grace. Back protesting, palms slick with sweat. He wipes his forehead, flicks the droplets at you. Laughs when you curse under your breath. "You did all right, Greentail," he says. Voice low enough that only you'll hear. "Didn't think you'd destin after the second volley. Thought you'd de-piss yourself and jump ship. You don't bother to deny it. Maybe you would have. Maybe you still will." The hold rocks gently, the smell of sugar mixing with the reek of bilge water. Men pass in undoubt, grunting, cursing, stacking treasure like it's just another cargo run. One of them slips you a half-minus smile, jerks his chin at the crates. "Don't stare too long," he says. "Makes a man greedy. Makes him foolish." You nod. You think of what you'd do if they handed you a handful of that sugar. Or a coin from a sack still hidden behind the cannon. But your pockets are as empty as they were when you stumbled onto this deck. Hook claps his hands once, sharp enough to snap you back. Up top, Captain's calling for heads and hands. Don't lose yours. You follow him back, into the sunlight. The other ship lists gently alongside yours, tied by thick ropes in the shared promise of ruin. What remains of its crew stands in a shuffling line, some bruised, some bloodied, all clutching hats or heads or each other. One man tries to meet your eyes and then doesn't. The captain addresses them in a voice calm as still water. No shouts, no drama. His questions are few. Where's the ship's gold? Any hidden cargo? Who's the quartermaster? Lies are useless here. Hook's blade flickers at his side like a punctuation mark. The answers trickle out. Some whispered, some spat. A ring of your crewmates hauls up the last of the goods. The sun bakes your shoulders raw. The wind flicks your hair like seaweed. When the questions are done, there's a choice. The captain offers it without a smile. Join or swim? Some of the merchant men nod, eyes darting to the ocean that shimmers like a blade's edge. Others stand rigid, pride or terror or a mix of both. You wonder what you'd pick if the boot were on the other foot. Hook leans in. Don't fret, green tail. Most LL choose the debt. The sea's a worse master than any of us. And HES, right? The ones who not are herded to the far rail, handed rations and a mess of new chores. The ones who don't are lead aft. Given a dinghy and enough water to make it somewhere anywhere. If the wind is kind. Above, the sails snap. The captain gives a tilt of his head, and just like that, the ropes are loosed. The two ships begin to drift apart. The merchant craft, half minus gutted, half minus hollowed, slides away on the swell. You watch until it's just a smear of canvas against the endless blue. Hook breathes out through his teeth. First prize for you, Greentail. First raid, first taste of salt minus spot gold. You look at him, the grin back where it belongs. He grabs you by the sleeve to the nearest barrel of fresh water, thrusts a tin cup into your hand. Drink. Spit the powder out of your throat. You do. The water is warm, but it washes the grit from your teeth, the smoke from your tongue. For a heartbeat, you're just a body drinking, not a deckhand who swung a blade at a stranger's face an hour ago. When you lower the cup, Hook's already halfway to the mainmast, barking at another man who's to slow at the ropes. The sails fill again, wide and hungry. The wind smells like tar and salt and something that tastes like tomorrow. There's no cheer, no drummel. Just the quiet shuffle of boots, the snap of canvas, the steady sigh of the ocean welcoming you back into its cradle. You look down at your hands, at the faint stain that won't come off your sleeve. And you know this is only the middle of the lesson. The pirate flag above flicks its shadow across your shoulder, a reminder you don't belong to the land anymore, and maybe never did. The sails overhead billow like soft minus-bellied clouds, pulling you farther from anything you'd once have called land. Somewhere behind you, maybe 100 miles back, maybe 100 years, there's a version of you who still flinch at salt spray, who still think the ocean has a bottom you can stand on if you just dive deep enough. Stitched to the wake that spreads out behind your borrowed ship, Hook appears at your side like a bad rumor, nudging your ribs with his elbow hard enough to remind you your body still hurts from the boarding. HES carrying 2 lumps of stale bread and something pretending to be dried fish. He shoves one into your palm without ceremony. Eat, he says. AINT, no feasting on a prize run. You'll get your share when we reach a port that won't sink us on sight. The fish is tough, the bread tougher, but your stomach has forgotten what standards are. You chew and watch the horizon bounce. Every few seconds, your eyes snag on the flag above black, lazy in the wind, that skull grinning like it knows you're too tired to look away for long. Near the mainmast, a half-minus circle has formed, a knot of your new brothers, loud and close as fleas. They're gambling with coins and odd trinkets, buttons, bits of lace, a bend string someone swears is gold. They shout and swear and laugh like there's no barrel of sugar under your feet and no captain who could end the party with a single wave of his hand. Hook notices you noticing. He tears off a bit of fish with his teeth, cocks around it. Watch them, better yet, join them. You keep to yourself too long on a ship like this. Men start wondering what you're hiding. You swallow dry bread. What am I hiding? He grins. Wouldn't you like to know? You almost spit your mouthful at him, but the bread is too precious to waste. Instead, you force your feet forward toward the ring of men. You plant yourself on a coil of rope just close enough that you're inside the circle, but far enough they can pretend you're not there if they want. It doesn't take long. A silver coin, dull and nicked, slides your way. One of the older pirates' face all crags and a nose that's never healed right jerks his chin at you. New tail buys in or pisses off. House rule. You fish the single battered coin Hook gave you from your pocket. You know it's not really yours. And it's more of a promise you learn it back. You'll stay useful. You roll it across your knuckles like you've seen them do, though your fingers fumble the trick. Then you toss it onto the heap. The game is simple dice, shouts, cursing at gods who aren't listening. The stakes are life and death. Fear who scrubs the deck next watch. Who fetches water for the cook. Who gets first crack at the weevil minus free biscuits if any show up. And beneath that, another stake. Whether you belong he Or not. Your luck is bad. Your dice hit the deck with all the grace of a stone lost in a swamp. You lose the coin. Then win half of one back. You lose it again. But you keep laughing when they do. You curse just enough. Grin just enough. Shake your head when Hook leans over and mutters odds you can't follow. It's an hour, maybe two. Maybe forever before the captain's shadow falls over the ring. He doesn't say a word, but the dice clatter to silence. He looks at you first, eyes steady, then sweeps them across the men. When it comes, is softer than the waves. Storm tomorrow, he says. Wind says so. Stow the prize tight. Check your knots twice. He looks right at you, the last and newest limb of his floating beast. Make sure you know which rope cuts free your skin, and which rope cuts free your throat. Then HES gone, coat snapping in the wind like a warning flag. You help pack up the dice. Brush splinters off your palms. Hook's grin is waiting for you, sharp as a hook should be. You did all right, he says. Lost money, but kept your head. Better than most. He claps your shoulder hard enough to bruise, but somehow, still friendly, unsteers you toward the forecastle where the rigging creaks like an old man's knees. Here, under the angled sail and the wind that never stops poking its fingers into your collar, you find the night watch waiting. A boy not much older than you hands you a length of rope, points at the lines that keep the sails taut. His eyes flick to Hook, then back to you. Storm's coming, he says, like you haven't heard it twice already. You tied these wrong. You'll wish you did round before dawn. You want to laugh, but you don't. You listen, fingers tracing knots, pulling them tight. Then loosening, then tightening again. Your back itches where Hook's hand landed. The ship lists just enough to remind you that land is a word without meaning here. You glance up at the sails, black against black, scraps of cloth stitched by hands older than yours will ever get to be. You wonder if they're tired of the wind. You wonder if they dream of a dock somewhere, a quiet mooring, a night when the ocean stops asking for more. But then the boy flicks your ear, points to your knot, shakes his head. You pull the rope free, start again. Somewhere aft, you hear the laughter again. The dice are gone, but the voices remain, drifting like gulls over the deck. The sea slaps the hull, with might as your heartbeat. Tomorrow, if it wants to, will come screaming down with rain and thunder. But tonight, the ropes are yours to get right or wrong, your hands rougher for the lesson. Above it all, the flag snaps and snaps, whispering that the only land you need is the deck under your boots. You rub the rope burns on your palms as you shuffle down the deck. Salt in your hair, salt in your throat, salt even under your fingernails. Salt and splinters, your new perfume. Hook's already vanished below, claiming HES do a wink of sleep before the wind starts screaming. But you know such luck. You're still green enough to stand watch when the old-timers slink off. The deck creaks beneath you in slow complaint. The moon's a cracked coin overhead, half minus hidden by a belly of cloud. There's nowhere on this ship that's truly dark lanterns swing from hooks, spitting warm yellow into every shadow. But it's not warmth you trust. Warmth, you've learned, means someone's close enough to steal your boots or your breath if they feel like it. A shape peels from the mast's shadow. It's rat, so mine is called for reasons you don't ask about. HES clutching a tankard that could hold staleo, or something stronger, though rum's rationed fierce when the ship's on a prize run. You look like driftwood that forgot how to float, he says. His teeth flashing in the dark, he offers the tankard. You hesitate only a heartbeat before taking it. The liquid inside tastes like bad decisions and burning rope. You drink anyway. It's warmth you not trust, but you crave it all the same. Rat settles on a coil of rope near your feet, hooking an ankle around the line like he means to be tied here forever. Storm's coming, he says. Third time you've heard it. He snorts when you don't react. You know. Still, your first blow's always the one that tries to gut you. Wind'll rip your bones clean if you're not braced. He leans back, the lantern swinging above, throwing thin gold across his grin. Then, low enough that it might just be the ocean speaking, he asks, "Ever hear how this ship got its name?" You shake your head. He seems pleased. Rat loves stories the way rats love grain stolen and hoarded. Never too much to carry. Years back before even Hook's time, which is saying something, this deck was Dutch. Or Spanish, depends who's lying. Took 5 days of cannon smoke to claim her. That flag he gestures up to the black grin flapping overhead was stitched from the coats of the last men to hold her deck. You swallow. The taste of old salt, old fear, creeps behind your tongue. Rat watches you squirm. He lives for it. So when the wind screams tonight, mind it's them. And mind your knots hold. Else you'll meet 10 down there. He jerks his chin at the waves crashing dark against the hull. Down there, where the water's thicker than air and full of stories that never found dry land again. You hand him back the tankard empty now. He laughs at your face, or at the sky, or at nothing. Try not to die tonight, he says. It's hell splitting shares with a ghost. He lopes off, boots silent where yours always find the squeak in the planks. You turn your back on the mast and the coil of rope still warm where he sat. A gust catches your collar. The wind's shifting. Up in the rigging, sails whisper of tearing if the ropes slip. You slip your hands into the lines again, feeling for any slack that shouldn't be there. Your fingers know the knots better than your brain now. That's good. When the storm comes, your hands will save you if they remember faster than your head does. A footstep. You flinch. Ready for Rat again, but it's only the cook's boy thin as the galley soup, hair plastered to his forehead by mist. HES dragging a bucket of water for the casks by the mast. He squints at you, then tilts his head like a gull eyeing bread crusts. First storm? You nod. He sniffs. Don't stand near the mainsail if the wind breaks. It'll whip you right over. Stay low. Tie yourself if you must. Captain won't blame a green hand for binding himself tight. Blame him more if you don't and end up feeding the deep. He shuffles off, bucket sloshing. You tuck that into your ribs, stay low. Tie tight. Live. The bow dips, rises. Dips again. You plant your boots wider, knees loose like Hook showed you. A wave spits spray across your face, cold enough to wake the last shred of sleep from your skull. You blink it off, spitzel to the deck. The sails above swell and slap. Lines strain in their pulleys. One thumps the mast with a sound like an impatient drum. You test your knot one last time. You do not trust your knots. That's the point. Trust keeps you careless. Carelessness feeds the sea. In the stern, the helm creaks under the helmsman's rough hands. His silhouette is still as a figurehead carved from driftwood. Somewhere deep in the hold, barrels thump against each other. Rhythm of the storm? That's not here yet, but surely wants to be. Your jaw cracks open on a yawn. You roll your shoulders, glance at the sails again. The wind is here to teach you how small you are. The rope is here to teach you how to stay. Lightning splits the clouds far out, silent for now. But you know the thunder's coming, rolling in slow like a debt collector who never leaves empty-minded handed. Your hands close tighter on the rope. The deck under you dips and dips and dips. The sea breathes in. You chase the thunder before you, hear it metal on your tongue, sharp as a bitten lip. The rope hums under your grip like it's alive. The helmsman barks something you'd catch over the rising hull, and a few shadows in the rigging scamper like roaches when a lamp swings too wide. You shift your feet, widen your stance, and pretend you belong here. Pretend you don't feel the ship's boards bowing like a door left alone in the rain. Rat's voice echoes in your head. Try not to die tonight. Good advice, you suppose, if a little late. Your eyes flick to the mast. The sail shudders, then balloons out like a lung catching its first breath. A shudder runs down the rigging and into your bones. This is what they meant by the storm's teeth. It doesn't come all at once, just enough to test you first. The wind tugs your hair into your eyes, and you're grateful. Less to see. Below deck, you know the older hands are wide awake now, pretending to sleep, but listening for that first shout to haul lines and curse the sea. They've been here before, some since before you learned what all tastes like. Maybe some of them love it. The way they grin when lightning strikes and pretend they're immortal. The bow slams into a wave. A splash soaks your knees. Salt water runs cold into your boots. Dribbles down your shins. The taste of last night's stale bread and cheapo rum sits heavy in your belly. Stay low. Tight. The cook's boy's voice sloops through your skull like a half-minus forgotten prayer. You reach for another coil of rope, double-minus check the knots. A slip now means swimming practice you won't pass. Your knuckles knock against the mast as you work. It doesn't mind. It's seen worse fools than you, and it'll see worse again. Somewhere near the helm, you catch a scrap of song someone's humming through cracked lips. It might be the helmsman, or the wind lying to you. Sailors love a storm, or say they do, until they don't, until the sea tries to take its due. Your eyes sting with the salt whipped off the deck. The horizon's vanished. There's only the pitch of the deck under you, the slap of the sail, the shiver in the lines. Your stomach flips, tries to crawl up your throat. You swallow it back down. Not here. Not now. Another figure staggers toward you. This one you know, old Finch. You'd think him made of driftwood, all knuckles and spite. He spits over the side before he even greets you. Prip sloppy, he growls, nodding at your fists. You tighten them instinctively. He laughs, a dry bark, all bones and mockery. You'll learn, or the say'll teach you faster. He thumps your shoulder hard enough to make you sway. His breath's worse than the bilge, but it's human warmth, at least. Finch plants himself by the mast, eyes on the sail, mouth chewing the air like HES got no teeth left for the stale biscuits. His coat's patched with old canvas and dreams. His boots might be older than the ship itself. The wind swells again. A wave smacks the hull, a slap you feel in your ribs. You brace, bend your knees just like Hook taught you. Just like Finch does now without thinking. The deck groans. Somewhere in the hold, something shifts and thuds. A barrel or a cannon that's found a new way to argue with the storm. You lean closer to Finch's voice when he mutters, just to anchor yourself to something. Did I ever tell you? He says, spitting salt, why I've still got both legs. You shake your head. He laughs again, but it's quieter this time. Because I tie my damn lines right. Because I mind the storm's whisper before I mind her roar. That's it. No luck. Just rope and sense. You nod, tasting his lesson under the thunder. He shrugs off your agreement like he didn't say anything worth hearing. The wind steals half his next words. You catch just enough, and if you hear the mast sing, you run. A flash of lightning slashes the sky in half. For a heartbeat, you see every rope, every knot, every pale face still above deck. You see how small they are against the dark. Then the light's gone and you're blind again, except for Finch's breathing and the endless storm of rain. The first real wave hits before you're ready. It shoves the bow sideways, tries to fold the ship like cheap paper. You stagger, slam shoulder minus first into the mast. Pain shoots fire down your spine. Finch's arm clamps around your collar, keeps you upright. Stand or sink. He snaps. You stand. You stand because you have to. The mast quivers like it's alive, humming through your bones. You press your cheek to the rough wood. Salt grits your teeth. The sea can't have you. Not yet. Over the next roll, you see Rat again halfway up the rigging. A bundle of ropes swinging from his belt. HES laughing, maybe at the storm, maybe at you. He salutes with one free hand before disappearing behind the sail. You hope HES got his knots right. You hope you've got yours right. Thunder claps close enough to rattle your teeth. Rain lashes the deck, finds every crack in your collar. You breathe through it. You taste the storm's breath and bite down hard on your own fear. Finch lets go of your collar, shouts something that the wind eats whole. Doesn't matter. You know what he means. Hold tight, hold smart. Don't trust the sea to be kind. Your fingers curl around the rope again. It bites deep into your palms, a promise and a threat both. The ship bucks like a horse that's smelled fire. You lean in. Knees soft, feet braced wide. The storm's voice rises from a whisper to a roar. The mast hums its warning song. You hear it now. The mast sings in your ear like a ghost you didn't invite. Finch's words echo in the hum. If you hear the mast sing, you run. But run where? You're already out of places to hide. The deck pitches hard starboard, throwing you against the rope so fast it burns a stripe across your palm. You curse under your breath soft, so the storm doesn't notice you trying to stand up to it. Finch's shadow has already vanished into the spray. Maybe HES slashed himself to the railing. Maybe HES part of the ship now. Good for him, you think. The next wave bounces the thought right out of your skull. Overhead, the rigging dances like a net of snakes. You glimpse Rat again. HES upside down now, clinging to the crossbeam with his boots hooked and his grin wider than the storm. HES screaming something cheerful to fool. You envy that. Your throat's locked tight around the taste of salt and fear. Below you, the planks thumb under your boots. The hull groans like an old man with a secret. The barrels in the hold shift again somewhere deep, the thud you feel in your spine. You imagine the rum sloshing, the gunpowder barrels nudging each other like impatient dogs. A ship full of teeth, waiting for the sea to slip up first. You brace your shoulder against the mast, fingers raw against the rope. The sea spits in your face. You spit back. Petty, pointless still feels good. If Rat can laugh at the lightning, you can spit at the ocean. That's your prayer tonight. Another voice joins the storm, a bell, faint but steady, swinging near the helm. The helmsman has signal. You squint through the rain. Half the crew is crawling across the deck like drunks at closing time. Someone barks orders. Someone else barks back. No one's really listening to anyone but the sea now. You catch snippets of words as bodies slide past. Reef the sail, hull hurt, I'd watch your head. All good advice. None of it helps you stand straighter. A fresh gust hits the sail, nearly yanking the mast out of your teeth. You taste blood now. Not much. Just enough to remind you you're still here. One wrong slip and you'd go overboard. No one would even hear the splash. The ship wouldn't stop for you. She never stops for anyone. She's too busy fighting her own fight with the storm, too proud to notice a single warm body dropping into the black. The lightning hits close again. You blink and see the world in perfect freeze minus frame Rat hanging by one arm from the rigging. A swirl of ropes around his shoulders. Finch half mine is hidden behind the main mast, bracing his knee against the deck, eyes squeezed shut like a HES praying, or sleeping on his feet. And you a thin, salt minus soaked fool, hugging rope like it's the only thing that remembers your name. You can almost laugh. Almost. Then the thunder rolls so low and deep it shakes your ribs apart. The mast quivers under your ear. You hear the crack splinter or not? You can't tell. You hope it's not your knot. The bell clangs again. Rat swings down, boots scraping the mast inches from your shoulder. He lands like a cat, knees bent, eyes wide. He flashes you that grin, gap minus toothed, brighter than the lightning. You still hear. He yells over the wind. You nod, mostly because your jaw won't open. Good, ship needs ballast. He cackles, then slaps your arm, not gently. See him on. Help me haul this line. Chest pulling too wide. You blink salt out of your eyes, squeeze the rope tighter. Rat's already halfway down the deck, boots skidding on the slick planks. You let go of the mast just for a breath. Unfollow. Your knees buckle on the first lurch. You catch yourself with a palm flat on the deck. It's like pressing your hand to a wild animal's heartbeat. Rat's at the rail, knotted rope in hand, fighting the wind like it owes him money. He spots you crawling closer and laughs again. Mad, bright. Get the slack, he shouts. You grab the rope with both hands. It through him is like a plucked harp string, fighting you every inch. Rat braces one foot on the rail, leans back, all weary strength and wild eyes. You match his pull. The wind howls like it hates you both personally. Together, you inch the line tighter. Inch by inch, the sail shifts, just enough to take the worst bite out of the wind's teeth. Rat whoops when it catches true, the whole ship shivering like it's grudgingly grateful. See? Rat pants, voice raw but bright. Not so badder? You nod, can't help the wheeze that tears out of your throat. Rain trickles off your hair into your mouth. You taste the sea again. It tastes like survival for now. The deck bucks under you. Rat slaps your shoulder, hard enough to hurt. Don't stand yet. Wait for her to settle. Count it. 1, 2. He doesn't finish. The next wave hits broadside, slams the rail up into your ribs. You ease out what's left of your breath, curl around the rope like it's a lifeline because it is. Rat's laugh gets lost in the wind. Somewhere aft, the bell keeps swinging, a heartbeat you're starting to trust more than your own. Your arms shake with cold and effort, but your grip holds. Rat gives the rope a last jerk, ties it off with a flourish that makes you want to clap. If you could feel your fingers. The wind's still screaming, but the sail holds steady now, angled to fight smart instead of fight dumb. You lean back on your heels, ribs aching where the rail caught you. Rat leans next to you, chest heaving, grinning like HES just stolen the world. Better than land, eh? He shouts. You look at him, then at the storm, then at your hands. Raw and salt minus bitten. You almost laugh. The mast sings again lower now, a tired note through the rain. You feel it hum up the rope, through your wrists, into your bones. You grip the rope tighter. You don't really sleep, nobody does when the sea won't hush. But at some point, the roar shifts. The waves soften from bellow to groan. The wind, still cutting, loses its sharpest edge. You're half draped over the rope you saved, cheek pressed to the splintered rail. Rat snores against your shoulder, mouth open like a child's. His breath smells like Alton's stale rum. Somewhere aft, the bell has fallen quiet, or maybe you've just stopped hearing it. Finch is still upright by the helm. Back hunched like the wheel is holding him up more than HES steering it. His hat's gone claimed by the storm hours ago. Or maybe he gave it to the sea as a bargain. You wonder what he asked for in return. A safe port, a barrel of dry biscuits, another dawn. The dawn comes anyway, with or without bargains. It always does. The first gray ribbon and wings behind the broken clouds. You blink into it, lashes crusted with salt. The ship is a bruised thing in the half minus light, sails patched with shadows, ropes dripping like wet hair. No one cheers. There's no room for cheers here. Just the shuffle of tired boots, the rasp of wet hemp coiled and recoiled. The sea, no longer raging, now only mutters about what it took and what it didn't. You're glad it didn't take you. You're less glad about what it left behind an ache in every finger. A knot in your spine, a belly too empty to grumble. Rat stirs awake when you shift your weight. He blinks, wipes his chin on your shoulder. Doesn't apologize, pirates don't. He just flashes that gap-minus-toothed grin. Softer now that the storm's gone. Not drowned yet, he says. His voice is ragged but warm. Means the sea likes you. You don't answer. You don't need to. The wind says enough for both of you. Slack now, brushing the bruises on your neck like a mother with rough hands. You wonder if you'll ever hear quiet again without hearing the sea behind it. Finch gives the wheel a half-minus turn, cracking his back so loud you wince on his behalf. He calls something down the deck, a word you don't catch but Red does. He claps you on the knee. Stands, bones popping. Up, he says. Daylight means work. You consider protesting. What's the point? Your legs move before your mouth does. Habit now. Salt and splinters under your fingernails. Tar streaks on your wrists. You'd think you'd hate it. Instead, you find you mind it less than you should. The crew moves like ghosts dragged back to flesh, hauling sails, bailing the hold, checking the barrels to see which ones are still full enough to dream about tonight. A few lads haul the last coils of rope from the deck, tossing them over your head. One mutters something in a tongue you don't know. Rat says it's Portuguese, or maybe just cursing so old it turned into its own language. You pick up a bucket, start scooping sea from the planks. Finch's voice drifts down behind you, soft but edged. Keep her clean, or she'll remember. You believe him. After last night. You'll believe any ghost story a pirate tells you. Rat drops beside you, bucket in hand, a grin tugging at the bruises under his eye. He dips the bucket, flings the water over the side with a flourish like echiest awesome confetti at a festival. You try to less flare. More splash. You work in silence. The sun lifts a hand over the horizon, half-minus hearted but enough. The ship creaks under your boots. The world shrinks to rope wood, salt, salt. Breath? Nothing else fits here, and maybe that's the mercy of it. When the last puddle's gone, Rat bumps your shoulder with his bucket. He doesn't say good job. He doesn't say well done. He just nods at the coil of rope by your feet, points at the sails overhead. Go on, then, he says, she's hungry for wind again. You groan quiet, polite. You're learning? You drag the rope up, fingers catching on wet fibers. Your arms burn. Shoulders protest, but you stand anyway. That's what the ship wants. That's what Finch wants. That's what the sea always hungry wants most. You cast one last look at the dawn. Pale gold, bruised gray, salt minus scoured. Not gentle, not forgiving, but real. Above you, the sails breathe out, full and hungry for more. You pull the rope tight.